It's 12:36. You're listening to the Mid-Morning Talk on Salam Media with me, Mari Mukwanda. With the rising number of violence in our country, many people have decided to own and keep guns to protect themselves and their families. But guns injure or kill hundreds of children due to negligence. So on today's segment with the Tshepi Mmekwa from Gun Owners Association South Africa, she's going to be giving us tips on gun safety for parents. If you are a parent who owns a gun, please listen up. Or if you are thinking of owning a gun, then you also need to listen to the advice and the tips that Tebi is going to be giving us. Good day, Tebi, and thank you for joining me.
Hi, Miriam. Good day, and good day to the listeners. And it's a pleasure being here.
Thank you. So, first of all, what is the safest way to store a gun at home?
The safest way is always on either your person or in a safe. Um, so if you don't have it on you as an individual, then it is perhaps better just to have it in the safe, locked away, the keys not lying around for any kids to just take through and open the safe.
Why is proper gun storage so important?
Look, it's very important because you don't want the firearm to land up in the wrong hands. That is the first and very most important thing. Not only your child, this is just about anybody. You just don't want it to land up in the wrong hands.
Okay, and what about guns in the homes of family and friends? How do you talk to other parents? How do you or find out whether they have a gun in their home or not for your for your child's safety?
Well, I carry a firearm, so most parents around my kids would know that I'm a firearm carrier. And they're pretty open to discussing with me whether in terms of having children and being around firearms. And my you know parents play a key role in developing safe practices and ultimately responsible for the behavior and safety of their children. Isolated lessons and concepts can just, quickly disappear when it comes to children. So you need a lesson that is repetitive. We have, as Gun Owners South Africa, we've launched a book called Scrappy the Land Rover Mandla's Birthday Party. It's a story that tells gun safety and but through a children's way because it's it goes through to children of 3-year old. I mean, I'm talking from experience because my youngest is 3 and he's a boy, and we've read the story, and he will tell you, we've read it over and over, and he will say to you, guns are not toys, you know so it is those lessons that you keep instilling in a child, that number one, they're not inquisitive about a gun. He's not inquisitive about it because it's there. Mommy has a gun, who cares? But he knows guns are not toys. It is not something you play with, and so on. And this uh, book we use in our Gun Buddies program as GOSA to help bring about the importance of gun safety with children as young as 3. And it's not a complicated or confusing message because it tells of a birthday party and a child who brings a toy to this particular birthday party and the reaction thereafter.
Mm-hmm. All right, and now you mentioned that toys, and it's repetitive that children must learn that guns are not toys. But why do parents buy toy guns for their children?
Well, there is nothing actually wrong with toy toy guns. I think we should take the narrative of the toy gun and start teaching kids safety, even with just a toy gun. My son does have a toy gun, but for him, it's a case of this is not a toy. So he role plays. He has it in himself to role play with all of us and say, don't call mommy and daddy. It's not a toy. Guns are not toys. You can't play with that. You know, um, he'll walk around with it, and he has a little holster, and he'll try and holster it. So there's things that we do where we say safe direction and so on. So he hears all of that and he doesn't understand. But now with a toy gun, don't point it at people. It's the concepts around it. So there's nothing actually wrong with having a toy gun. Use it to your advantage and teach them the concept of safety with even just a toy gun. Because by the time they come of age and they've grown around guns, it's not a new concept because it's been embedded in their brains that guns are not toys. Um, Safe direction, be muzzle conscious. Never put your finger on the trigger. You don't point it at people and so on.
All right. So, besides kids not knowing that guns are not toys and not putting your finger on the trigger, what else should kids understand about guns?
Look, I always say these three basically steps. So that I repeat continuously and to parents to repeat. So if they see a gun, the first and crucial step is to stop, okay? Allow your child, remember that the child must stop and not touch that gun. All right. And second thing, they should tell a grown up. Children should seek a trustworthy adult, neighbor, relative, or teacher if a parent or guardian is not available, and tell them that there is a gun, and the adult will know what to do in that case. It's for the adult then to take it away from the situation and so on. So we do not encourage children to now try and handle the firearm. They don't know if it's safe to touch or whatever the case is. So it's always important to instill in children, don't touch it. Make sure that you call an adult and ask and tell them there is a gun, you saw a gun, and that they should deal with the situation.
Mhm. All right. What are some myths about guns that parents should know themselves?
A gun isn't going to go off by itself.
Mhm.
Trust me. A gun is not going to go off by itself. It needs human intervention in order to go off. So the other thing is that, oh, but kids will be so inquisitive and they would want to play with it and it will become dangerous. No. You see the concept, I always use the concept of kids who didn't grow up with cars, and then an uncle from far away comes to their home with a car. There is that excitement about, oh, there's a car, there's a car, there's a car. But those who grew up with a car are not phased by this car. Actually, they think it's annoying because they get to go to Durban on a long trip, to Cape Town on a long trip. It's so annoying. You know what I mean? So it it doesn't click to them that it's something other people will fancy. It's the same concept with a gun. Kids should know that there is a firearm in the home. Kids should know that it's not a toy. Kids won't be interested in it. It's not something that will take them to the range with you, you know, so that they can see there is eyes and ears that would put on, there's protection, there's all sorts of things that happen. They may not fire the gun, but they know, oh, we have to be very safe around this thing. They get, oh well, we're going to the range again and it's going to be fired and who cares. Stop making it a secret. It's not a secret. Make sure that they know there's a firearm, and make sure that they know that the safety. So it's a myth that, oh, but kids are always inquisitive. Take the inquisitive out of it. Remember when you were 21? Yeah, before you were 21, actually, you wanted to jump the wall and go to the nearest party, but because the gates were locked and everything else, you were inquisitive about that, but immediately they open and say you can go, you get bored.
All right. And what about the myth around paintball guns or pellet guns or are not deemed as dangerous?
Look, I always say to my kids that assume every weapon is dangerous. Yes, pellet gun, paintball guns, and so on. You do it in a controlled environment, and they splatter paint on you, and so on and so forth. But it's actually quite nippy when it hits you. You know what I mean? It's quite an 8 hour when it gets you. Um, but it's always safe, especially with children, just to say, no, be muzzle conscious. That will hurt you. Just practice the safety steps. For me, paintball gun, they can practice aiming and so on, which is fantastic, but they must know still the safety. It is still a gun.
All right, let's take a quick break, Tshepi, and when we return, I'd like to discuss some safety tips for parents, what we need to know when storing our guns, etc. Please stay with us.
Competing for their attention against their smartphones, you need to make smart choices, like using Sunfoil triple refined pure sunflower oil in every meal you make. It's naturally cholesterol-free and approved by the Heart and Stroke Foundation as part of a balanced eating plan. So whether you're cooking, frying, or baking, you get the great tasting results that'll get their attention faster than the latest app. And if that doesn't work, change the Wi-Fi password. Sunfoil. Now we're cooking.
Alhamdulillah, we are finally free of riba. It smells lovely.
Yeah, with Yakina, I managed to stop all the riba, Hajo. This insurance price is going up again.
Oh, we are not free of riba, Babu. You need to stop the insurance.
We have to have insurance, Hajo. You know how bad it is with all the crime and the accidents.
Have a little yakin now, Babu.
Yeah, man, I do have a little yakin. But I wish there was a way to leave all these riba insurance companies, man. It's my riba.
Babu, I can't handle this. The stench. It stinks.
Is that my underarms?
No, the riba stinks. Please find a way to stop this riba insurance, Babu.
Leaving riba insurance is easier than you think. Call Amana IFS for all your personal and commercial takaful needs. 0861 786 393. Amana, leave riba for good. Amana IFS is a registered financial services provider.
Africa. As the crisis in Palestine continues, the Africa Muslims Agency teams are on the ground facilitating emergency food and medical assistance to the affected families. Donate 15,000 rand or any amount and help the people of Palestine. Call AMA now on 083-251-9376 or donate online at africamuslimsagency.co.za. Africa Muslims Agency, inspiring the spirit of giving.
Rejuvenating media day by day. This is Salam Media.
Welcome back. Y'all listening to the Mid-Morning Talk on Salam Media with me, Mary Mukwanda, and we are talking about gun safety tips for parents. So with me is Tshepi Mmekwa from Gun Owners Association South Africa to give us those tips. Tshepi, thank you for staying with us. And what do parents need to know when it comes to keeping a firearm safely away from kids?
If you grew up in the 50s, 60s, 70s, or 80s, it's a good bet your childhood was very different. And especially for those who were raised with guns all over. It was normal for firearms to just be lying around, just like, kitchen knives and cleaning chemicals and so on. So the childhood then was vastly different. But nowadays, we do have an issue with safety. I mean, you kids never used to drive around in car seats with seat belts and so on. things have changed. Our society has changed, and therefore the way we handle firearms also changed. There are, number one, as I said, if the firearm is not you in a holster, then it should be in a safe or in its carry bag. Those are the most important tips. And your safe should not um, be accessible to children. So if it's a lock-up safe, it must always be locked. The key on you. So if your firearm is not on you and is in the safe, the key must be on you. And basically, those are the long and short of it. It's important that everybody has stores a firearm. It's not something that you just leave on the side pedestal, you know, just because you're taking a shower. You go and take a shower, put the gun in the safe so that it's not accessible to the next person. So it's most important, and it needs to be a habit that you yourself practice all the time. If you're not holstering that firearm, it is a danger for everybody else. If it's not in a safe, it is a danger for everybody else. So I always say keep the firearm as if it's, you know, something very confidential and very personal. Keep it away from everybody else. Keep it on you. So if my diamond ring is not on me, it's in the safe. You know, it's locked up. It's just one of those habits that you have to have.
All right, and if parents think that they can't keep up with those safety tips, then don't get a firearm. Find something else to keep you safe. Maybe you can start with the pepper spray.
That's correct. That's correct. You know, we harbor the responsibility. Once you firearm, that responsibility is on you. Much like you know that you can be in a position to fire that firearm. So you take on that responsibility. It's a lot of responsibility to take on. So if you're not ready for the responsibility, then don't take on a firearm as a form of defense. You know, pepper spray is an option. You know, it's just one of those things that you have a firearm, you have to practice safety for that firearm.
All right, so thank you so much for your time, Tshepi, and for the tips. I hope our listeners will make use of them, especially those who are considering getting a firearm. Thank you once again and have a wonderful day.
You too. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Tshepi Mmekwa from Gun Owners Association South Africa, giving us some tips on how to, gun safety tips for parents rather. And parents, you need to practice safety, especially if you have kids. It doesn't matter how old they are. Just as long as you have kids or other members in the household, make sure that your firearm is out of reach, it's in a safe, and it's locked, and the keys are with you. And if the gun is not in the safe, it must be on you. It must be in the holster and stowed away, so that at least you know that you have it with you. The safety is on, etc., etc., and you're protecting yourself and your family from injuries that might take place inside the home with that gun that was just left lying around. So there's lots that you need to do, but before you can go get a firearm, there's the laws, there's licenses that you still have to acquire, etc. So before you can even get a firearm, you need to go through all of that. And while you're going through that, perhaps you can learn some gun safety tips on how to keep yourself and your families safe from any injuries. It is 12:56. You are listening to the Mid-Morning Talk on Salam Media. And I'm going to have to love and leave you guys. I'm feeling a bit under the weather, especially being blocked So I will be back next week, inshallah, same time, same place from 11 to 1, Tuesday and Wednesday. And tomorrow you can catch Nafisa Dengo, same time, same place, right here on Salam Media. Please send us your comments, questions, queries, or suggestions to our WhatsApp line on 061 766 and also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. From myself, Mara Mukwanda, and the Salam Media team, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.